Will and I had an argument last night, which is very unusual for us. It came out of nowhere, not long after we got back from dinner. None of it made much sense, not even the vocabulary he was using. It just didn't even sound like him. He ended up sleeping in the room with the creepy mirror, and I tossed and turned all night. I've had no sleep. We both have a big day ahead of us today, so we have agreed to suck it up and just go with the flow. Our first stop of the day was at Caduceus Cellars. We chose their winery based on their very interesting blended wine menu, and because they grow their own fruit and vegetables or locally source what they cannot grow. I was pleasantly surprised that I did not find one wine I didn't like. We also used this opportunity to pair wines with cheese to enhance the tasting experience. And then we headed over to 48 Wineworks for a small tasting where we left behind 2 bottles of wine and forgot to get footage of their sign. I guess I was just distracted by all the cool merchandise and the wine I just drank. We selected 48 Wineworks because they are Northern Arizona's first and only winemakers co-op. When we were finished with our tastings, I was intrigued to go back to the house and learn more about its history. It's not just about the wine, it's also about the adventure. I chose the John Riordan house based on its late 1800s era, and it had been vacant for over 60 years. It was also the highest rentable space in Jerome, and it has incredible views. We read stories about the Riordan family, the home's history, and discussed how some of the objects in the home might be connected to the history of the family. Everything in the home appeared to be antique, and I was fascinated with the atmosphere. Then we took a history tour of Jerome to learn more about the area and why it is called the wickedest town in the West. We discovered that prostitution used to be illegal in Jerome, and the women used to have to renew their license every couple of weeks at the old hospital, where they would check for pregnancies, etc. And that hospital used to heat their building with the aborted fetuses and miscellaneous body parts from amputations. People sure like to investigate the rooms inside of the Jerome Grand Hotel, where people jumped out of windows to commit suicide, but do they ever investigate the ground below where the actual death occurred? It was our last night in Jerome, and we were both exhausted. We spent our entire evening relaxing back at the house. And although we had planned to have a glass of wine with our dinner, neither one of us really felt like it after what we had experienced the night before. We spent the entire evening on the internet researching anything that had ever been made public about the Jerome Grand Hotel. I was intrigued to learn more about what kind of paranormal experiences other people may have had there. When you are researching the paranormal, you really have to be cautious because there's a lot of people out there who are in it for the fame or for the money, and most of what you see is fake. On the flip side of the coin, you also have other people who are so wrapped up into their beliefs, they think every single noise or lens glare is paranormal, and it's not. I was so disappointed in my paranormal research that evening. It just seems like most people like to flock to room 32 in search of that video and audio evidence, and no one's actually investigating the experiences that people may be having outside of the hotel or even within the hotel. A few years back, my family rented one of the most haunted rooms inside the Jerome Grand Hotel. I remember my mom describing the whole experience as having a difficult time distinguishing the difference between dreams and reality while they were checked in. She also described a nurse at one point with a pouch full of syringes who would not stop asking her to choose an injection. Will also had described a similar experience during our first night in Jerome after that dinner at the asylum, only the nurse didn't exist. I was beginning to wonder if maybe it was a possibility he may have gone through some sort of paranormal experience. We both only had 1 glass of wine at dinner, and I wasn't feeling like he did. I was also beginning to think it was very strange that I had not had any sleep, and my brain function was not slowing down, nor did I feel tired or ready for bed. I have had no caffeine since coffee that morning, and no wine since 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I tossed and turned most of the night and was wide awake at 5 a.m. I got up and I poured a cup of coffee, went out on the swing to reflect on what in the actual... And then that's when I began to realize what it was that I might be experiencing.